Don in London. Hello, it's September the 26th. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol. My addictive behaviour, equally difficult to understand until I got into sobriety, around people, places and things. Trying to be with the right people, in the right places, in the right things, doing the right things, with the right things. Always trying to fit in, not feeling quite good enough. Maybe a sense of fear and doom quite often about if I really could fit in, I did belong on the planet, let alone anywhere else. So what helped me with these awkward feelings, even from a very young age, I learned that taking a drink would fix the way I felt. It would offer me a different perspective on my life. That is, to take the edge off it, to feel happy, convivial, joyful, if it were possible. And then as I got older and I got involved in heartbreak, because I was always desperate to be with the right girl, but she had the good sense on many occasions, different ones, to say, "Ooh, I'm not so sure about him," and run for the hills. Don't blame them when I look back now. A very incomplete person, not realising it was okay not to know that life is progress and not perfection. So somehow my outlook was distorted by trying to be what I thought I ought to be, rather than finding out who I am on a daily basis. All good news these days, but it took me a long time to realise that having taken the edge off me, I was taking my edge off reality and real life experience. So experiencing life at the extremes, probably, of extreme happiness and extreme sadness, and not understanding the bits in the middle where it's deep, wide, broad in terms of what can be experienced as we go along. So never the journey, always the destination, and when I got there I wondered why I didn't feel any better. So now it's all in the journey, and the destination is as yet unknown, except for one obvious truth, that we all expire at some times. And drink was killing me in the end. It was causing me to shut down physically when I'd already shut down emotionally and spiritually, that life could get no worse. And all I wanted was oblivion and more of it every single day. So unable to stop, I didn't know where to turn until I did have a moment of clarity when I said to myself, after all this life experience, I still can't work it out. And I don't know how to be me, and I don't know the answer to my drinking problems. And then that was when I asked for help, when I realised that no amount of self-will, no amount of encouragement from family and friends, community professionals, could help me tackle the problem of addiction on my own. It was always about me sorting it out, rather than being helped and supported, and learning that life is about being included, and keep on learning as we go. And then came along the fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, a very difficult start for me, and I guess it is for everyone, that I did not want to let go of my best friend, alcohol, which had made anything and everything possible, and then made everything and anything impossible. Caught between the two, and not knowing or even perceiving how I could stop drinking. What I didn't realise, in the fellowship of AA, everybody's in the same boat, the sobriety boat, if you like, on a notion of alcohol, because it's always an arm length away. And no matter what we do, society will always be involved in activities which include alcohol, so it's never going to go away. And I wondered how these people in the fellowship of AA could possibly keep sober one day at a time and find life interesting, exciting, or sometimes dull and boring, and still not drink. Well, I stuck around long enough to find out why and how and where and when all these different things can happen. I don't speak for AA, never can, never will. I can't. Don't want to, because then if I spoke for AA I would be holding myself up as an example of what fellowship can do, And I don't do that. I share how fellowship helps me and keeps me in the game of life, if you like. So why else can I not speak for other people? Well, they too have their story, and they share it where they will, usually in meetings and with family and friends. And as the world has got smaller or bigger in some ways, smaller in the sense that we're more close together with all the technology that goes around, and bigger in the sense that the world just keeps on getting bigger because there's more out there to learn about. AA is the backbone of my recovery. So Alcoholics Anonymous never speak for it, never speak for another person, only speak for me. And what I see is what I got in the fellowship, what I see, and that's what fellowship is. What you see is what you get in meetings, groups, and by associating with people who are sober rather than a life of drink. So the complete opposite, if you like, in many ways of what I was doing. Yes, it was. And I found that people were genuine and authentic in their outlook, with one similarity: a desire to stop drinking and be stopped and share about it. So asked and answered when I was attending a different type of group intervention via the National Health Service, where I encountered other people trying to stop drinking. They asked me, "Why do you go to AA? We can't stand it." And one of the people there said, "I know you can make videos because you've got a computer with a webcam. Why not share your story? Because that's what they do in AA." So that's how it started. And it's been going on for a little while. And in my videos I talk about the 12-step program, or 12 principles of living, and then getting freedom to choose all over again how to live. Freedom to choose how to live and make choices based on real life rather than fantasies and dreams, or to shut down because the fantasy and the dream of being top of this, that or the other was never going to happen again. So AA is integral to my life, and the friends in fellowship are so important. They are as important as friends outside and family, and often I get wisdom inside and outside the fellowship these days. So from being an absolute nightmare to know, to maybe worth knowing by those who love me or come to love me. And that's the same for anyone in fellowship. We make friends, find out how to love, be loved back, and useful again. And that's not conceited, it's just being normal daily living, rather than the tall story I might have wanted to share with you. Anyway, what is AA? On this little card here is the AA preamble, and inside it has the 12 steps and 12 traditions, and this little card isn't quite readily available. On the back, the serenity prayer or exhortation, a meditation about what I can do, can't do in the moment of now, and learning the wisdom to know the difference in the moment of now. So the fellowship program is all about today, and that's called spiritual in my book, because the ability to cope with reality is a description that a very learned religious person gave. When asked what is spiritual, he said it's the ability to cope with reality. And reality is the name of the game these days. So no longer fantasizing about anything, apart from the fact that I do the lottery, because it also pays into good causes as well. It's one of my little vices, which doesn't get out of hand, fortunately. Anyway, what is AA? AA preamble. I read it rather than recite it. It means more to me that way. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. So that's it. We share the truth of who we are, so we can help each other recover. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. So that's it. You make up your mind if you have a desire to stop. And it's very difficult at the beginning to know or understand how or if we want to stop. But if we have a desire to stop because life needs to improve, there are no rules, laws or regulations in the fellowship, because if there were, it's highly unlikely that we would actually be a fellowship or a going concern, because we are stubborn, defiant people. We need to find our path. Need rather than want. Needs met, wants forgotten. So we need to find a sober path. And if people are telling us that there are rules, laws and regulations, it's highly unlikely that we could stick to them, because they would be imposed by some outside agency. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. So free at the point of entry into meetings, and it will remain so if you're poor. And if you have a bit of spare money to help with rent, tea, coffee, biscuits and a bit of literature, then that's what we do. We just keep ticking along, and we never allow our funds to increase beyond a prudent reserve. It's all about a prudent reserve, not about fear of having no funds or surpluses. Just enough will do, and that's part of the philosophy of the programme. Enough. To be enough, just enough will do. And then learn about life. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. So in other words, the fellowship doesn't endorse or support anything except people wanting to get sober, and it supports in emotional, spiritual ways, not in cash terms or the physical well-being comes from not drinking often, but we stay alive long enough to get other ailments which are just as bad, but at least we're alive to get them. So everybody who goes to AA has a background, beliefs, understandings, affiliations. They're all there as part of their lives and are not to be let go if they're helpful and useful in life. So we hear about everything to do with other people, which means that we are able to hear how sober works in any way of life or any walk of life that people have. We don't adopt their walks of life other than the sober one. So it's sober we're looking for, the similarities and not the differences. So we are so different as people, but unified around one similarity, and it's part of the primary purpose of the programme, which says our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So if we can do that, stay sober and share so others can get sober and keep it in the day, we have a chance at sobriety. And that takes a little bit of learning, because believe you me, in the first days, weeks, months of really being there, I didn't know whether I was coming or going. I was full of fear, looking over my shoulder, feeling paranoid, wondering when somebody was going to come up and say, you're a failure, you haven't got it yet, what's wrong with you? And now I know, whatever it takes time, and the time needed may be down to the time we were out there drinking. And for me it was over 35 years, so a lot of changes in attitude and behaviour in me required, and it does take time. But then again, other people learn faster, some people learn more slowly and more thoroughly. You don't know how you're going to learn until you start learning again, and whatever the time is it takes, if we're sober in the process, it all seems to work rather nicely. Anyway, this book, Daily Reflections, is one I have found very, very useful, and I share from it the daily reading. 12-step program, 12 traditions holding the fellowship together. So this book covers one step and one tradition each month in order. So January to December, from step 1 to step 12, tradition 1 to tradition 12. And step 9 is all about making direct amends where we can to people we have harmed without doing further damage. And the tradition, which I have to I can't remember it off the top of my head. You know, I've concentrated more on the steps in my videos than the traditions, but the traditions are equally important because it gives me an organisational system of how life can work. And it says here, and it's really important actually, AA as such ought never be organised, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. And it's a bit like a family in some ways, because no one is a leader And I've heard people with no years sobriety to 50 years sobriety say, well, of course there are leaders in AA. Well, actually there are no leaders unless you take a lead for a particular reason and a particular way of the fellowship working, and share about it and make, lobby for a change in how we are set up. The good news is that these things are dealt with at the level of the membership, what happens in meetings and groups. So we are all trusted servants at the same level, and if you have a great idea how your meeting or group may operate and people agree with it, maybe it will happen, as long as it doesn't undermine the primary purpose that we have, which is to share experience, strength and hope, and help people recover who have a desire to stop drinking. So anything is possible, but it has to be practical and agreed by everyone, or certainly by the majority. So nothing happens unless there is enough support for it. And even then it may not be adopted for very long, because life changes and people change. So the good news in sobriety, everyday changes, which can be a bit of a conundrum if you want it all fastened down so you can control it, because that's the very opposite of what works in sobriety. It's not about controlling life, it's about living life in the moment and making the best choices open to us based on real life, not a wish list. Although some people do make wish lists and they realise those wishes. Apart from ruling the planet, that has never been quite worked out yet. I'm kidding. Anyway, the AA Daily Reflection for today says this, loosely around step 9. Our children, friends and family. The alcoholic may find it hard to re-establish friendly relations with his children. In time they will see that he is a new man, and in their own way will let him know it. From that point on, progress will be rapid. Marvellous results often follow such a reunion. And this is based on experience, not on wishes. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen for you or for me. I mean, I don't have any children, and that wasn't my choice, actually. Anyway, it was how life turned out, given the fact that what I was didn't really make me a very good long-term proposition. While on the road to recovery, I received a gift that could not be purchased. It was a card from my son in college saying, "Dad, you can't imagine how glad I am that everything is okay. Happy birthday, I love you." My son had told me that he loved me before. It had been during the previous Christmas holidays when he had said to me while crying, "Dad, I love you. Can't you see what you're doing to yourself?" I couldn't. Choked with emotion, I had cried, but this time when I received my son's card, my tears were tears of joy, not desperation. And that's the difference, really, because once we start to get sober and people see we are making a change, the opportunity may be there to connect again. It does depend on how much damage we've done, though. We can't mend some bridges because the consequences of our actions have been so terrible. But often we can. And it's a relief to know we can be human again and can be included. And we don't have to show off. We just have to be us, be ourselves, learn who we are daily. So some of my thoughts this morning: war stories and or drinking stories, and our life story. When I first found myself able to sit in fellowship meetings, listening and judging to what I heard, the more bizarre the story, the better I felt. A lot of stories told for good measure. I worked on my own story and made it a thorough horror story. Then I heard my story from another. Stopped trying for the best story ever told, and listened for what worked in sobriety, one day at a time. This is true because I wanted the best story, so you would be impressed by my drinking stories, even in recovery, still trying to be a big shot, or rather to cover up the small, insignificant me that I often felt by having a good story. But then I realised my story was pretty good compared to everybody else's. Same trudging road, full of pitfalls and haphazard encounters because of the alcohol. I'm feeling less than. Anyway, carrying on. Real life. Learning how to be included and know where I fit. No longer a desperate struggle to find my place in society. Simply happy in the company I keep, inside and outside fellowship. Always in the journey, the conversations in life with friends and family, strangers we meet, words shared and wisdom of life. From long associations to brief encounters, there is always something new, even when we still don't know what we're looking for. And I was thinking about that song by U2, I still don't know what I'm looking for, and realised it doesn't matter, because if I'm looking for it I'm never going to find it, because I don't know what it is. The final result is obvious. We all expire at some stage, that's the final destination, but life is in the journey, and if we focus so desperately on one element to make ourselves a success, we are one-dimensional, and we don't need to be. Live life as it is, the encounters, brief or long. It's the value of how we cherish people and our experiences, which is important. Good or bad, indifferent is just how it is. Those are today's thoughts by me. Then over the years, if you'd told me I could cope with life, death and taxes without a drink, I would have thought you mad, because the world was mad. Everyone drank. Everyone still drank, was what I had come to believe. Today in recovery I see life with more clarity, moment to moment, can cope and feel and express myself more truthfully. I am willing today, just willing to live life and see what will happen. We feel everything in recovery. Early days we boil in a cauldron of emotions, all of them usually at extremes, the extreme of fear, faith, courage, no courage, all those things. We erupt inside, and we have fellowship to express our highs and lows. With time and expression, feelings cool down from bottled up years to day-sized. Up and down as life happens, right-sized just for today. So every feeling is right in the moment of now. It's experience, and then what I do about it, it's my actions and conduct which will see me through, one way or another, to a better outcome or a worse outcome. No one was ever able to tell me what the promises were. This is at the end of doing step 9. There are some promises. It says, as are these extravagant promises? We think not. The promises in the big book of AA, a collection of true life accounts in recovery from alcoholism. How to live life in recovery, and what to live and practice, and how to live and practice the principles and suggestions of the 12 steps and the 12 traditions. No person is perfect, except, it's perfect in the imperfectly perfect moment of now. It's never going to be complete. It's imperfectly perfect. We are all subject to life's ups and downs. We are making progress just for today. And this is from another year. I was part of a meeting the other day when we shared about the promises in step 9. Step 9 is the focus of our daily reflections book for September, as I just pointed out earlier. I like and enjoy reading about the 12 steps and traditions to gain a better perspective as they are lived by me, never perfect and not wanting to be perfect anymore. If we are perfect, then we have no room for growth. I feel we are imperfectly perfect. We have the right ingredients to live, and nature and providence take care of the rest. We are all part of creation, creating in our own part, as we may in the scheme of life. It's quite difficult to be in recovery because you don't know what's around the corner, but now we don't fear it so much. Or maybe we just have enough fear to make sure it's not a bus coming our way, or stepping off the train platform by mistake. Promises in my early days. Go to meetings, or get to meetings, listen and listen some more. And these promises, what on earth are they? I had no clue. A promise of a better life. I lost a lot on the way to rock bottom. Just trying to separate the pages here. I lost a lot on the way to rock bottom, and then stayed a long time, drowning in dreams of revenge and torment, self-harm run riot, and a mind filled with distortions and alibis. Fact, I was lost doing the wrong things for the right reasons most of my adult life. Fact, today I do more of what is right for me for the right reasons. Wrong things would be, for me, chasing the next best experience, people, places and things, right girlfriend, right job, right girl, right home, right holiday, and right fun. Very righteous and very materialistic, as rock bottom proved. And everything lost, empty, riven and excoriated, which is stripped bare, be it down to the last level of skin probably, in a black desolate fugue, the madness of dark. Today what is right for me, to live sober, be open and honest, willing to put in the right actions, to be able to tolerate and love everyone, including me, because the self-hate in the past was so bad. I just couldn't stand being me. I didn't even know it was self-hate, it was that bad. Tolerate and love. Know we are all making our way as best we can. Not judge others and simply judge my willingness to learn what is good for me in living. I can decide what is right for me in good conscience, say yes appropriately and say no appropriately in my living today. Yeah, no one was ever able to tell me what the promises were. This is another year. I guess the promises are what they are for each and everyone who lives in recovery. For me, an end to self-harm, self-obsession, materialism, and valuing me and others by their status and material gain. Although I might have denied such a way to measure in olden days, it was etched into my life experience. Life on life's terms, sober and alive, able to deal with success on an emotional and spiritual basis, and similarly be able to deal with setbacks. I have one day to live today. I can feel like, be more open and honest, be myself and learn the value of life. Not my life, just all life, or simply all life. A fellowship to help us experience emotional and spiritual, to be okay physically and do what we need to do today. Needs met are wants forgotten, so if my basic needs are met, wants can be forgotten. In all the best stories we find serenity when it can be, progress when it cannot, and even then there is serenity in adversity. We learn to do what we can do and cannot do, and daily see the difference. Enthusiasm for what is today, progress in acceptance, and in the ever-present moment of now. So imperfectly perfect, there's always something new about to happen. That's my readings for today, and I will share at the end the Serenity Prayer, which offers in a very small chunk can do, can't do, wisdom to know the difference. And I can say to myself in a moment, can do, can't do, wisdom to know the difference. I can change me and my attitudes. I cannot change you and your attitudes. Not my job, but there may be a negotiation in there, and the wisdom to know the difference. So the Serenity Prayer, which is said at the end of every meeting, and by me often, can do, can't do, where's my wisdom today, helps me get perspective. It's not just me, it's you as well in life, equals. Even when we don't like what other people are doing, we don't need to then judge it and then stomp all over it. Prefer not to do it, walk away. And if you can't walk away, see how life can be changed gradually if it's going to be a long-term problem. The Serenity Prayer does work in any moment because it puts me in balance. And it's to God or in good conscience, your higher power which counts, your higher power. As long as we know we're not the higher power and the wisdom is out there, not usually inside us, we just have we have some facts, we make opinions and beliefs around those facts. So that's the truth as we know it. But there's a greater truth out there. It's what other people are saying as well. So truth is out there, and the wisdom is often in other people. So listening is key always in the serenity outcome, if you like. So to God or in good conscience, as works for you. Truth, love and wisdom works for me. I'm learning those every day. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference for me in the moment, the imperfectly perfect moment of now, and just for today.